Hello, welcome back to Win Some Loosemore Top 50, joined again by my brother Rick. I am Dieter. We are at the 40 to 31 stage. Thank you for joining us. I didn't realize this, but apparently Zoom meetings now for two people cuts off after a little bit. So we're gonna go a bit quicker in this one, just to make sure we get through it all. If you want to know the rules or how we've done it, check out the last one. We'll jump straight in. Rick, what's your number 40?
My number 40 is a new one to the list, which you and I played on my very first play of it, and your first play of it. Really enjoyed it. Herbaceous.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Quite simple. Push your luck. You lay a card and you draw a card. You draw two cards. You put one in your personal garden. You put one in your public garden, but you don't get the information of which one you're going to place in turn. And so you're like, well, I really want the time, but I don't want that time, but I also don't want that to go in the public garden because I don't want you to have that time. And there's 4 different ways of scoring, and it's very beautiful, very charming, and has gone down pretty well basically with everyone at every player count. It's a smash. It's herbaceous. 40.
It's my 71. So
yeah, that's good.
Not bad, not too far out. Yeah, as we said last time, that kind of 80 to 40 bracket, any given day, things could get mushed around. My number 40 is a cheat. It's new to the top 50. It is a series of games. This is Exit.
I didn't put mine in. I didn't put them in. I did have them and I cut them out because I was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Sunken Treasure, or whatever it was called, has been the best one that I've played. So that would be a number 40, what have you. But I've played about five of them now, I think. And they are starting to repeat a little bit, and I can predict kind of what they're asking from me at any given moment to some degree. Every so often there's a clue. I introduced my partner to the Exit games, and we both came across one clue in one of the games that I picked up that just we couldn't do, found the answer cards and still went, nope, that's bad. That is bad design. That's happened once and a half. There was one I did with our parents that we didn't quite get, but you read the answer and you go, okay, but that's a lot to expect me to jump to. But generally, just really cool little puzzles. Played the Lord of the Rings one recently. Well, a few months ago now, got that for my birthday, and we played that. So that was, it's good fun.
Spoilers.
That they can.
No spoilers.
No. I mean, it follows some of the story, sort of. So it's just a good exercise. So every time I see them for relatively cheap, I tend to just pick one up, stick them in the cupboard, because at some point we'll pull it out, because it's just that kind of thing. They're single use, but everything's recyclable. So I don't feel too bad about that in that sense. And it would be more expensive to go to an escape room than the £8 you can sometimes pick them up for, and that does 2 to 4 people. Just for a couple of hours, just kind of solving some puzzles and being surprised or feeling smart or going, no, that was terrible. Works for me. Exit, number 40.
Well, my number 38 last year, so a drop of 1. And you talked about it last time. It's Fantasy Realms.
Okay.
Which I still haven't played since you and I played together and played, because it's compulsive and brilliant. For me, you said...
And I battered you every time, and you're like, no, let's do it again. No, let's do it again. No, let's do it again. I must get it right.
No. But as you say, the production is a little wonky, and for me, a little not quite my taste. And so they've done a second edition, which I'm kind of looking forward to, and seeing how they've maybe repurpose some of that art. Also looking forward to the Marvel remix, which keeps getting delayed, because I could see that theme working for us a little bit better. Sure. But yeah, a very simple, very compulsive game. And again, when you remember that I think it was 135 was my Red Rising.
Yep.
Nowhere for me. This is the one. Fantasy Realms 30. 9. And if you don't know what we're talking about, watch the last video.
Yeah. My number 39 is up 12 places. Is finally getting kind of the respect it deserves. This is Wingspan. But I tell you, it's because of the Switch. I now own the physical copy. Got it last Christmas. Again, for the second time. I got it when it originally came out. It kind of dropped off for me. Sold it. Didn't think too much of it. You wouldn't shut up about it. I eventually got it.
No, I didn't think much of it on the first blush either. It was then when I put in the European expansion, and it was out on loan for ages, and I don't really care. And then I got the European expansion because I like European birds. And then I was like, this is good. This is quite good. I like it.
No, it was on sale on the Switch store, Nintendo Switch console. This means console.
I do. I knew that.
Yeah, because it's handheld. Never mind.
This is Xbox.
I picked it up, a couple of quid or something. It wasn't massive, and I just tried it. Had to get used to the interface, so tried it again, and it just slowly crept up in the. I play this semi-frequently now.
Wow.
And enjoy it, and has still yet to pull out the physical copy that I have, but I know as soon as I have the right group, I'm gonna be able to, very quickly go, here's how it works. Isn't it beautiful? Let's have fun. And It will just work because it's very good, and it is deserving of its plaudits. I don't know if it's in the top 10, 20 games ever, but it's done a lot, and I think it serves its purpose incredibly well. So I'm very happy to have it again. Wingspan 39.
Huzzah. Well, number 38, another beautiful game, but in a very different style, is Parks. And I think, what did I put this at last year? 37. So again, wow. Like I didn't edit this list. So it dropped a place. But again, Parks is actually one that we always say we don't want an expansion to fix stuff. But we do like it when it complexifies stuff, because I think both in Wingspan and Parks' case, you go, here's a pretty game that I can pull out and play with most people because they go, oh, it looks nice. And sometimes that's okay, and that's good enough to get people into the hobby, to get people at the table. That's fine. Having something pretty that's dumb is fine. But in both those cases, in Wingspan and Parks, then when you get the expansion, you go, this is now nice and crunchy. It just adds that little bit. And Parks zoomed up last year from the sort of probably 80s, 90s into the 40s, because you go, this is a good little game, and there's a bit more going on here, and I'm quite happy to play it. It's still on the lower. It's an entry game still. It's not actually that complicated. And our mother, actually, who often complains about the games we play, I said, it had the expansion in and it did that and that wouldn't be in the best game. She's like, oh no, I would have wanted that in there because it gave me more ways of doing what I wanted to do. And I'm like, yes, exactly. So it's one of those games that I always have the expansion in there, even when I'm teaching fairly newbie gamers. It's not an entry level game at all. It's a sort of next step, but has the expansion's definitely worth keeping in there.
Cool. My 38, also up 12 places, is the only party game that ever exists on my list. Was my number 50. It's just one, because it's just fun. And there's been a couple of times in the last year or so that I've just felt like, I wish I had that, because this particular gathering at this moment, it would be exactly the right thing. That would really, yes, we could make it up, but I can't be bothered. But it's always under £20, sometimes around 15. Like it's not a big expense if it's something to add to your collection. It's just a good fun, almost cooperative. Nobody scores. One person can't see what a word is, everybody else can, and writes down an associated word as a clue. Everybody checks with each other first, and any matching words are discarded, and then any remaining words are shown to the person that didn't know the word, and they have to guess what the word on the card was. That's the entire game. Interesting. I have 2 games in this 10 by the same designers, and they are markedly different. Markedly different. So it just really works, and it's inexpensive, and it's a party game that you can just have actual fun with. No one has to try and be clever. No one has to try and perform or be silly. You can do that if that's the way you want to go, but the game's not asking you to. And that's why I tend to dislike party games, because it goes, now be funny. And I'm like, but I'm not. It's just one. It's true. 38, just one.
Yeah. And drop for me, next one, 37 from 22. So 15 down. It's not a casualty. It's just how it is. It's Fields of Green, which
Sad.
I've just sold and has brought me great sadness to sell, because this is one of those games that could easily be in way past the 100 mark, because the art's fine, the production is poorish, the simple like build a farm and draft stuff is pretty banal.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Yeah.
And it works and it's fun. And I've never played it outside of 2-player, which has got a public draft rather than a pick and pass like a Sushi Go, like we talked about last time, which is what 3 and 4-player does. And I never got around to playing that.
No.
And it was fun. It was really fun. It stayed in my collection for ages. And I think you got it for me on a punt
on a trade
for Christmas. Yeah. And you're like, hey, you might like this. And I really liked it. And it just broke all my rules of what I want in production, what I want in design, what It just was like, sometimes you get games that do that, don't you? So 22 to 30, where are we? 37? That's fine. That's fine. It's still in the top 50, and probably by rights has no place being there, except that I like it, so there.
My number 37 is up 21 places, also due to I now have a physical copy and play a lot digitally.
Okay.
The King of Asymmetry, this is Root. Because it just deserves to be higher. It was 58. It didn't even make the 50 last year. And it was a bit lower than that even when we did the 100, I think. And it just gets in my brain. And I just want to get good at them all. Oddly, don't care about the raccoon.
Yeah, correct. Bit boring.
I think you did it right when you taught me if you're teaching, be the raccoon. I think that's the way to go.
Because you can then moderate everyone else's play. Because you talk about how this works. The cats have taken over the land that belongs to the woodland people, but the previous overlords were the birds. What is this thing? But they're fighting, and then the raccoon is doing his own thing. Yeah.
So those three all clearly go together, and then he seems separate because it's an individual versus a group of people, which is fine. But we don't like programming and yet love the birds. We don't like boring resource management, worker placement type stuff, and yet cats and Woodland Alliance just work. Everything just works, and it's really good. And I know you've said it many times before, but because you have a common goal in the sense of a points number rather than by achieving this personalized goal and you play differently whilst you're achieving this personalized goal by playing very differently. You feel like just playing the same game. You feel like, aha, I get to do this thing that you don't. And they go, oh, but actually I've done this thing that you can't. You're like, oh, okay, that's much better form of asymmetry, even though they are completely different. Still a bit of a teach, but this is where the digital comes in. My goodness, what a way to learn. It's so good. They had a story in there. They teach you one faction at a time by building up the mechanisms and the story, and you can just go on and play a couple of the factions or all of the factions or whatever against AI just to learn and practice and have fun, or against other people online. And it just works well, and it's often on sale. So if you do play board games digitally and Root is intimidating, play the app, play the Steam, whatever. It's really good. They've done an incredible job with the digital version, and it just keeps it rising in my collection. And I picked it up for cheap because the box was ever so slightly damaged, and I'm pleased to have it. Even if I never pull out the physical copy, I'm pleased to have it. It's one of those weird ones.
Yeah. No, I can't quite get rid of it. I really like it, and we'll come back to it. But it's like, when am I ever going to play this? But it stays there because it's great. And it's funny you bring up Root, because my 36 is by the same publisher, also has asymmetry, and is the one game that came just before it. This is Vast. Now, what Deep talked about just now is dramatically asymmetric game in Root. Vast is a step even further out because instead of everyone shooting for points, and there are a little bit of twists in Root that you didn't cover, and that's fine because they're just a bit twisty. That's fine. But generally, everyone's shooting for points. When you get 30 points at the end of the game. In Vast, not only does everyone have a different rule set, but everyone has a different end game set. Everyone has a different way of winning. And I like that. And we'll come back to things like Seven Wonders Duel that you like multiple different ways. But this is why it's a bit further down for me, because it's like, wait, so you've got a dragon who's trying to escape from a cave. You've got a knight who's trying to hunt a dragon. You've got goblins that are trying to hunt the knight, but you've also got a treasure hunter, and they're all in this cave. Oh, and someone's the cave, and the cave is sick of the lot of them, and it's trying to collapse them. It collapses in on them and destroy them all. I mean, an anthropomorphic cave, 10 points. But yeah, and then they all have different. It's just so. Honestly, I was taught the game. Here's 2 sides of A4. Read it, and we'll play in a minute.
Yep. Yep.
But it works together, and it's incredible. It's amazing how it nothing's overpowered, nothing, and you got a bit of king making. You've got a bit like knock down that person, but that's fine because they're antagonistic people. It's not like you're playing Ticket to Ride and someone goes, "Hey, that person's winning. Let's go and get them." No, your job is to go and get them. So of course that's what you're going to do. It's great. It's great. I've never ever owned it. I'm never ever going to, because it's so unbelievably complicated to play and to teach, but it's gold. And of course, let us salute the wonderful Kyle Ferrin.
Beautiful,
the
beautiful work, beautiful,
extraordinaire. Anyway, Vast.
You are quite right. It is not Ticket to Ride. Do you know what is Ticket to Ride?
Ticket to Ride?
Ticket to Ride, my number 36. The complete
we wrote this. Route to Vast, Ticket to Ride. How can we segue between them all?
Up 8 places from 44 to 36. Again, I've grouped Ticket to Ride as a whole being. I still prefer New York. I love being able to just pull it out. People that don't like games will still play it and still either love it or be done in 10 minutes and never have to think about it again. Hooray, and not be stuck for another hour. I do now want one of the bigger ones back in my collection. I say back in my collection. I don't think I've ever actually owned a big one, but I played it a lot again, physically, digitally, because everyone's got it. So I've just never needed it. But I've looked at it. It just works well. It's so easy breezy. In you go. Play rummy with colors to lay cool plastic pieces on a board and make connections. And if you play like your wife, destroy people by just going, oh, I can see where you're headed. I don't need to go there, but I'll go there anyway, just to block you.
That is
and we love her for it. It's just I wanted to hate on this game for so long because it's nothing incredible except it's something incredible, and just works all the time. Just works.
It does. All right, a new entry for me at 35 is Cora, Rise of an Empire.
Ooh.
You want to play this?
I do want to play this.
Yeah, I've made friends up here with a guy who develops games, but his wife is blind, or partially sighted. She's not fully blind, but she really struggles with obviously lots of games. Cora, beautifully, has double layer boards, player boards, and so she can feel her way around, that kind of thing. So they have quite a niche collection. So some of the stuff they play that is, I'm like, oh, I probably wouldn't have picked that up. And Cora's really good. Cora's really good. I mean, fairly dull. Again, sort of ancient Middle East. You're in Greece and trying to build a civilization and stuff like that. And there's lots of different options and lots of different things you could do, and dice manipulation and worker placement. But do you know what? It's good. It's good. It was solid. I was like, I could play that again. And do you know something else? It's quick. It is pasty. We were in and out in about an hour, which is good going for a sort of like civ building Greek thing. So I don't know that I could write home anything to recommend it except that it's really good. It doesn't do anything new. It doesn't,
Yeah.
but that's, it doesn't do anything particularly like, well, you've never seen this before, like Seven Wonders Duel, where you go and keep referencing this game. We'll come back to it. You could win by points. You could win by military. You could win. Whereas this is all like, you're going to win by points, but how you get there is it military or is it whatever?
Yeah.
So there's nothing in it that you're like, this is brand new. This is exciting. But it's a really, really solid and well put together game. It's yellow. It's nice production. It's a bit of a departure for them, I think, in terms of like style. I think it's a yellow expert line. It's too expensive for me at the moment. I also wonder whether if it was in my house, whether it would get playtime. But if it's ever around the sort of like sub 30 mark, it's a gimme. It's a great one. So
cool.
Yeah, I think you'd like it as well.
Yes. Yeah, I looked at it very originally and went, I'd like this, but just again, am I going to play it? My number 35 is a game I'm sad I do not own any longer, but I've not owned it in a very long time. Down one place, so what's the difference? Lost Cities, one of the best 2-player card games.
We'll get back to this in a minute.
What's your 34?
My 34 is Azul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Drafting game about making a mosaic floor. One of these games, again, that's outrageously pretty and you can play with anyone and it's a nice little brain burn. And if you haven't heard of Azul, I don't think I need to explain it to you. Should we move on to your 33?
No, my 34.
Oh, 34, sorry.
Is a game that only I love. I don't know anyone else likes this game. Not on the internet, not in real life. No one. This is Down One Space. This is a game I want you to play. This is I want to say Cathala and Fiduti, but it's certainly at least Cathala. This is Imaginarium.
You are the only person who likes this game.
It's great. It looks so odd.
Yeah.
Weird action
it's
selection.
Cathala. I don't know if it's Fiduti as well.
Yeah, no, it's Cathala and I think somebody else. Weird. Your crazy dream engineered people things. Your figure is a giant bust of just very strange steampunk looking people. Nice range, nice diversity in the game. And there's an action selection track. So you choose what action you want in turn order, and then you work your way from the back to resolve, which then determines turn order for next time, which King Domino type thing.
Yes.
And
Yamatai.
Yes, a very Cathala thing. But that's only the first phase, because that's either gaining a card, gaining charcoalium, coal, the currency. Cool plastic. The pieces are lovely. And then you've got...
They made it out of real charcoalium.
Oh, absolutely. They mined it in Fandelver. D&D joke that you will hate now that you know it's D&D. And then you go to the second form of action selection, which is a weird little clock with two arms at like 45 degrees-ish, and you have to choose two actions from the wheel to do. You can't do the exact same two from last time. They have to be adjacent, but you can move as much or as little as you want to do these different actions, and it just works really well. You're fixing these machines, which then produce all the resources for you, like wood, glass, copper, ore, I think it is, to get other things to score points, and you can get weird monkey-looking assistants to do. It's great.
Sorry. Okay, you've stopped.
I think you'd enjoy it if you played it, but
I'm sure I would. All right, number 33. You're number 35. Lost Cities.
So close.
So really close. Yeah, interesting. Down for me as well from 21. Just playtime, I think. I haven't played it in ages. Yeah. Really like it. It's a 2-player game that has caused much fury in my household. You're picking up a card and playing a card and trying to like do it in the right order, but then you can discard thing to a common deck, a bit like Herbaceous. The Herbaceous gave me a lot of Lost Cities feels, but almost like a slightly more multiplayer version. And you're like, but no, I want that. You can't. It's a real sort of push me, pull you, dry as anything theme, quite mathsy, but someone asked me, someone came around last night, so what are your top two, or, what are your top 2-player games? And I got this and one other game, and I went, and we actually played the other one as it goes. But it's great. It's great. It's not leaving my collection.
It's great. It has that compulsive edge that we've spoken about with a few of them, as does my number 33. Similar to Fantasy Realms and Herbaceous, when we just sat and played and played and played and played and played and played. Number 33 is The King is Dead.
Oh, let's talk about this later.
We just played and played and played and played.
Yes, we did indeed. Okay, good. We did quite well on this, aren't we? Okay, my number 32 then. Don't tell me it's on your list as well. This is down from what, 28? So it's basically the same. No. The Lost Ruins of Arnak.
No.
Oh, good. Goodness, I can actually talk about it. All right, so Lost Ruins of Arnak is a deck builder ostensibly, but it also has some worker placement in there as well. You are Indiana Jones type archaeologists going to explore some areas and look at jewels and run up against beasties. And you may have heard of a game called Everdell.
I have.
I'm talking to your audience. One may have heard of a game called Everdell, which involves like card play and worker placement, and left me so cold. And I really did not enjoy it. And I don't understand how anyone's spending £300 on the extreme edition of whatever's out at the moment, because it was just not connected. You play something like Lost Ruins, and the worker placement is born out of the card action. Yeah. And they're so interrelated, and it doesn't feel like, and we talked about this in the last video with Ark Nova, 2 mechanics splodged together. It's an innate system that is, and it really works in that way. And I know you really like it as well. Mm. It's dropped for me a little bit. I had to sell it because I needed to raise some funds, and it wasn't a game we played a lot. But there's nothing I didn't like about it. By the way, production, well done, very, very good, and not what you expect from that publisher actually. But yeah, very nice pieces, very nice board, very beautiful design. I'm really sorry. Do you know what? I'm really sorry. I never played it with the expansion, which has got the variable player powers, which is, we've said, something that I really like. So yeah, really, really good game. Lost Ruins of Arnak, really clever, really pretty, great theme, good game.
Yeah, it's one of the ones I considered when planning my master's research study.
Yes,
because it's got that enough of a theme that you can kind of put narrative into it, as well as being just quite mechanically robust. It just had that balance really nicely. Back to compulsive play, but we're back into cards, and something that suits me far more than you is the head-to-head duel. I've specified the product, but again, it's kind of the whole genre, or the whole family of games. This is Star Realms, for me, Frontiers. Yes. Very simple head-to-head deck building. You've got 50 authority, you've got 50 health, and you're just trying to whittle down your opponents to 0. That's super easy. And then Frontiers just adds
stuff.
A couple of solo plays. You can play with more people, or do it slightly differently and do a team battle kind of thing. It just enriches it slightly, but you can just play Star Realms, and great, let me do that. It works for me. It's one I pull out. It's down 1 place. It was 31. It's now 32. So much of a muchness. Yeah, I won't look to get rid of this in a long time, even though I haven't played it probably in over a year at this point. I know I will, and I'll have a fun time with it. Star Realms Frontiers.
69 for me. It's not terrible. Not terrible. All right, my 31. Can't remember which crossover this was. My 31 is The King is Dead.
Yay!
Hey, the 2nd edition. Very important. It's the 2nd edition. Because graphically, the first one looks horrible, and the second one looks great. And also, they add in these special cards that sort of really bring the game to life. Dee, why don't you talk about it? Because I interrupted you earlier.
Oh, it's great.
Good. So what it is, it's a political game. Immediately you're like, do we want a political game? I've played other political games, and I'm very, very cold. Don't like them at all. But you play a card and you pick a cube, or you may play a card or you may not. And there are 8 places you're going to compete over in Britain. The King is Dead, we need a new king. That's the idea. And you've got 8 cards. And if you play in the advanced rules, 5 of them are common, 3 of them are unique to you. If you play the base game, all 8 are the same. And you can decide on these 8 places to compete. But you've only got 8 cards. You've only got 8 turns. This game is 8 turns long. And quick turns at that. Because a turn is play a card and pick up a cube. And it's so clever.
Yeah.
And it's so rich. And you don't know, do I throw my hand? Do I play 4 cards into this one? And then I've only got 4 cards to play into the other 7 places. And what do we get? And oh my goodness, but I don't want to like give the game away of what I'm trying to do, because it's, you know, you're supporting the Scots, the Welsh, or the English. You know, who's going to win? It's so rich. It's so clever. It's really, really neat. And we've said this before, anything by Peter Sylvester in the future, we were like, we want to play that.
Yeah.
Brian Borrow or Village Green or whatever. I'm like, this guy, he's got something smart in his head, and I want to play the things that are in his head. Like, not really a sentence.
I love that you don't control anything. Like, you're not the Scottish, you're not the Welsh, you're not the English.
No.
You have manipulation over everything, and almost betting and like hedging your bets on who will be victorious at the end. It's a very clever system. My number 31 is the same designers as Just One. But this is a game that takes years and years and years of development and whatnot. This is the 7th Continent. It's down 11 places. I can only imagine it's going to keep falling. I'm so sorry, 7th Continent. I love you. But 7th Citadel is coming, and I'm just not pulling it out because of a game in my now top 10, which we'll talk about another time. But it introduced me to a genre of games, and I have a lot of love for it. And I've owned about 3 different versions of it from various Kickstarters, and now have the retail version with some of the expansions thrown in. But I'm now tentatively offering up for sale because it's like, oh, well, am I going to play it anymore? I'm not very good at it. I keep dying. Each card, like we've spoken in other games before, is essentially a tile, and you can explore this island, and you're solving a curse. And it's just really fascinating systems, and it's a lot of skill check type things, but with card drawings, though, dice rolling from RPGs. It just all works really well, but it's hard, and you need to remember things and plan really well and understand the systems and the loop of you need to eat to survive. I know that makes complete sense, but in a game you don't think of doing realistic things because it's not real life, and yet it's asking you to do a lot of that. So that's the kind of the barrier that just means I'm just going to choose this other thing more and more and more. And even saying it, I now want to go pull it out because I do enjoy it that much, and I do enjoy the system. And they brought out like a short story version, the Crystal Song. It's like an introduction thing that will take you like an hour, and then you're done, and not a 100-hour story. So I might go do that again, but it just works for me. But it is slipping each time. It's coming down and down. It was number 3 or something at some point. It was certainly very high up, but is now 31, the 7th Continent, and 2 crossovers meant we managed to go pretty quick, which is good.
I don't think we've ever had 2 crossovers before. Certainly not this low down.
In the 20s, we'd had Great Western Trail and something else in the same 10 before, but nope, not this time, or teens, who knows. There'll be more familiar games and crossovers as we get higher, because we've played a lot of the same games and we like a lot of the same games, and so more of those will come up. Similar
games as well.
That's true. I think there are games we just agree are bad, and then others that you'll like, I'll like, but I'll own, you'll own, as we've discovered. So yeah, that's 40 to 31, 3 more to go. Next time, 30 to 21, where everything starts getting good. Let me have a look. 3 new. 2 new, one unmoved.
2 new. Oh, and then another near crossover.
Oh no, only 1 new. 1 new, 2 unmoved. Yeah. But all that to look forward to next time. Thank you very much, Dieter, Rick, Loosemore, Winston Loosemore, top 50 to Loose. I think I'm just going to stick with Toodaloo each time now. Toodaloo.